Welcome back to TableDropZone podcast.
Yeah, today we have a very in-depth topic, so we're not going to cover it to completion, you could say. I think you cannot even cover this topic to completion in any time frame, but we do want to cover a bit more than we do today, so it's going to be chopped into a couple of pieces, and it's going to be, because it's also a topic very near and dear to us, so we're going to have it in a couple of podcasts each time we're progressing a little bit further through this mammoth topic.
But first we will go with our finding for this week.
Exactly. So we found a couple of things this week. Actually, it was a very interesting week, but we trimmed it down to just 3 findings. So the first one is, apparently they made a theater piece for the movie Totoro. That's going to be shown in London. It seems to be fairly high budget. You saw the trailer, what do you think?
I think it will be very interesting because I really want to see Totoro on stage, how they make Totoro. Yeah, because it's our favorite Japanese cartoon.
One of them.
Yeah.
There are quite a few. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the trailer you can see a couple of shadows, so you kind of see what the shape could be, and there is a short kind of teasing making of where they show one of the eyeballs of what is either the cat bus or Totoro. I assume it's Totoro because of the color of the pupil. And it's a very, very big eye you see there, and they say that they work a lot with puppets and some animatronics and so on, and you see a couple of the puppets also in the trailer. So I assume it's going to be a big puppet of sorts, but how they're gonna make that thing come to life is gonna be interesting. Well,
yeah, we need to wait.
We need to wait for the thing to come on video because it's only in London.
Or maybe after that, before that, they can have the kind of like some YouTuber can review the performance.
So all British YouTubers, do it. So the second thing I want to talk about is actually another trailer. A trailer for the second part of Dune.
Ah, okay.
So the first part came out, when was it? 2 years ago? Last year? Oh God, I can't remember. It doesn't matter. So you all know, the first one, the first Dune movie was really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
I can feel the epic in the trailer, and I still love the kind of all the image, the color, and in the desert, something like that. It feels so nice, and the music also good. Yeah.
I mean, they show kind of how he gets onto the sandworm, which is one of their trials, right?
Yeah.
So they don't show much though. It's gonna, I think in November it will be released of this year. I think it's gonna be a good movie either way. I mean, I think this we can safely say. Let's see what they put on display.
Yeah, but recently I think Hollywood already had very good movies, like some movie we watched recently. So I have a high hope in the Dune Part 2.
Yeah, so we saw Renfield and Dungeons and Dragons, and yes, Dungeons and Dragons, a lot of controversy, but watch the movie. It is really good. It is really
so funny.
Hollywood back to old form, and there's one scene where they meet a dragon. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but just that whole scene had me rolling on the floor laughing. I'm still laughing just thinking about it. It is so unbelievably hilarious. It might be one of the funniest scenes involving a dragon I've ever seen in my life.
They put a lot of like good joke in that 2 movies that make us feel so happy. They should do something. It's really art that make it so happy. It's really good entertainment.
It really is, yeah. I have like a thing on my.
Yeah, and it is related to our main topic today.
It is related. And Renfield also, amazing movie. Watch it. We laughed for hours. It was, even though the movie was not hours long, but like, it's great. I do want to cover one more topic, even though it's not new this week. before we dive in, even though it's a fantastic segue we had there. Sorry for breaking the segue, but we need to talk about one more thing. So it's not new. It's actually quite old, and but I just stumbled across it recently. So apparently there is a children's book series. I'm not sure if you can still say children, like the teenagers book series. Young teenagers, children, somewhere between children and teenagers. That is called The Last Kids on Earth. I think there's 8 books by now. And of course I didn't read one of the books yet. I only read the demo you get on Kindle.
So we watch it, we touch the book.
We touched the book.
Yeah, it's very nice feeling.
What does that mean?
Under the bookstore.
It's a fantastic feeling, it's paper.
Yeah, with a lot of like images
nice
inside
little
books.
drawings.
It's really like for children.
It's really for children.
Yeah.
But it is like, if you just read some of the titles, like if you have children or if you're interested in letting your inner child come out and play for a little bit, then that's for sure something very interesting. I will look into it a bit deeper because on Kindle they're actually quite cheap, and it like the demo reads very hilariously funny, and it's just I think just very harmless, good entertainment for children who like something a bit more supernatural with zombies and monsters.
And also for
adults that don't always need the splatter effect, but do want to have some cool monster action. I think this is kind of where it was. That was just something I wanted to mention. Yeah. With that,
we go to the main topic today.
To the main topic today.
Yeah.
What is the main topic?
So today we will talk about art in the miniature wargaming.
So we are all well aware there is tons of art.
It's a huge topic, but we will just start today and we will continue in the next coming weeks.
Sorry for cutting you. The idea is that we today only cover one topic. So this time around, we will only talk about the basics. What even is art and what does it mean? So the other topics will then be covered in the following podcasts. Let me start with the first question. What is art? The most profound question. What is art? Okay, next.
It might be like easy or maybe very deep or long discussion. We can talk about it for days. Easily. But for me, I think all kind of like creativity work and imagination work can consider art.
Yeah, I would
we can see it like visually, or we can use sort of like ear. It's on time also the entertainment like movie and performance can consider art too.
Absolutely.
That makes us like feel happy and entertained.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
I would say, to me, art even goes a step further. I fully agree with everything you say, but I say it takes a step further. And art also has an inspirational character. So it's not just about creativity and about bringing something to life that in whatever shape or form through different media, right? You have so many different media: book, image, sculpture, whatever, sound. But it's also about creating something or being inspired by someone else to create something that is enriching, that is different, like to create something that is in some way, shape or form new. So to me, art is not, for example, a newspaper article, although some are, but it is if someone reads a newspaper article and then is inspired by this to create something that is not lived in, that is not, and maybe in that way the newspaper article becomes art if it is inspiring. I don't know, maybe something like this is how it works. It's a very difficult topic to actually cover because art can really be anything because it fully lies in the eyes of the beholder.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a beholder picture.
art can be like many form, and art can also like from art we can see the history, and we can see the different culture all over the world.
That's a very good point. It transports culture. Absolutely, very good point.
Yeah, if we want to understand the country or community, we can see how the art that country and community created.
Actually, it's also about the history of a country.
Yeah.
I mean, and the culture is kind of the outcome of the history of the country, right? Mm-hmm. So I remember we were in a museum in Vietnam. And this was about there was a history museum, right? And it showed kind of over the time how the art changed through the different eras that Vietnam went through. And it's super interesting to see, how certain aspects became more prevalent, and then art was used to transport certain messages. Very, very, very interesting overview, because I have to think of Vietnam. I've seen other countries as well, because Vietnam has such a very different, like over the different eras, it really changed heavily.
Our culture were affected by many cultures. We have so many waves of
of different you had the Chinese, it's a French occupation, you had communism come in, etc. So all of these very different Americans, right? So very different cultures.
And now K-pop, Korean culture.
That brings us to the next topic. What is good art? What is bad art?
It's difficult to answer that question, because it really depends on the mindset and on the culture and the own idea.
My personal idea is good art is art that inspires you. Bad art is art that only at best entertains you and at worst annoys you. So if K-pop inspires you personally, then to you it is good art. If K-pop just annoys you, then to you it is bad art. Again, it's in the eye of the beholder, right?
Yeah.
I think this is the best way to put it. And that way there is no objectively bad or good art. I mean, maybe there is something that annoys everyone, but aside from that, I would be hard pressed to pinpoint on anything and say like this is objectively bad art, because maybe someone gets inspired. I have been inspired by the cheapest, most horrible monster movies from the 50s, so you can see the zipper on the rubber costume of the monster. It inspired me deeply as a child. I loved it. And it entertained me a lot. And so to me it was certainly not bad art what Roger Corman, etc. did, even though objectively you would say it's not the Mona Lisa, right? But maybe it doesn't have to be. Is art important?
Well, I can say it's very, very essential for our life, because it affects a lot. You can see the whole society. It can affect the society. It can affect the policy. It can even affect the economy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and of course, and it will help us understand the other culture and understand the other people, why they have that thing. And for individual, it can help to heal their soul, and also help them to live happily.
Does art have to make happy? So for example, there is this movie that came out with Brendan Fraser, The Whale. It's certainly a movie that won't make anyone happy. Except for Brendan Fraser being business.
But I think that there's some piece of art is really specific for certain audience, because some people, for example, the art you can see is so dark. But for people who have a lot of pain inside, they can see that it show up their broken heart or something really like dark in the mind, and maybe it can help to heal the sound. Because some art is very popular.
Yeah.
For all type of audience, when you see something beautiful, and very like entertainment and joy there. But some art is for certain audience. That, for example, like you can see very kind of broken heart song, but it's for the happy people. They not really like, feel the music, but for people with that situation, their feeling will be very different.
I mean, that's actually a good point. Let's actually dig a bit deeper on that, because so there's this, for example, there's this Johnny Cash song "Hurt." It is originally it was done by Trent Reznor and it has a very different meaning. One is a broken young man who still has a chance to make good on his life, and the other version is an old man looking back on his life in regret. And it gets so much more devastating in the second version. And yet it is the same song in some ways. Just one is kind of this, okay, I understand it's something wrong, I can fix it. I still have time to fix it. And the other one is, I have messed up, and there's no way to step back from that.
Yeah.
And I think just looking at these two versions, what you said becomes very, very clear in this, because both artists looked at the exact same text and had a very different understanding of what it brings to them. One was just at the bottom of his life and wanted to scream out his pain, but he didn't have a moment where he said, okay, this is like, it's done. And the other one wanted to tell a story about how he could have maybe done things better if he had known earlier. So,
it's an angle that I also find that is that like art can consider something which can touch the sound.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It can. So it's not just entertainment. It can also be thought-provoking. Art is allowed to make you sad, to make you feel something, right? And not just sadness, not just happiness or sadness, also other things. Art can make you angry. Art can make you mellow. It really depends on what the artist, or actually it really depends on the viewer, right?
Yeah, it depends on the viewer, and also the message of the artist, what they want to say through their artwork. For example, it can like raise awareness about. For example, they can talk about the pain of the mother, father who lost the children, or maybe the pain when they experience the war. So it can raise awareness of the audience.
Does art have, this brings us to the next question, does art have to have a message?
It depends, because sometimes the art piece, the artist want to send some message, but sometimes, but it really depends on the viewer. The viewer maybe see different thing from the art piece.
And that's, I think, a very, very profound question behind this, because let's rephrase the question. Can art be understood without a message? Or will it anyway have a message just because of what the viewer will perceive, will see?
I think it really depends on the viewer, because for the same art piece, everyone have different view. Everyone can see different thing.
Yep.
From that art thing, and maybe to someone look at the maybe like a picture and doesn't understand anything.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, I've been in museums quite often. I love going to museums, and I have seen so many pieces of art and I'm just sitting there like, this ain't it. But then it only means, I'm not saying that that's a bad piece of art, it only means that it has no meaning for me personally. It's maybe a nice picture, nice to look at, right? You could hang it on the wall in a hotel, and I wouldn't recognize it as a big piece of art. But in a museum, it doesn't inspire me. And this is where we go back full circle, right? Where it's really about, for me it's not, maybe I would say it's good art, but it's not inspiring art. It's not art that kind of captivates me as a person. And this I have quite often, right? Whereas other pieces of art that others may just stand there and say, well, what are you seeing in this? And I was like, oh, I'm seeing, it's about dinosaurs. How awesome is that? So let's actually close this discussion with one last little question, and that is, if you create art yourself, what meaning does that have to you? All these deep, profound questions that cannot be answered in simple sentences.
Actually, when I create something, I don't really. The question is not like whether I create an art or not. I actually don't care. It's just like, for me, it's just like a process. You do something for the self, and it's a happiness on the journey. That you create something by your hand, and maybe in the end it can look very good, and you can say that and proud to show your friend and family that it really art. But sometimes in the end you don't really like it, but the process of doing things is very nice.
That's actually a good point, the process. So, for example, for me, if I write a book, I go into the book with a mindset that I want to write this, and this is supposed to be what the book is going to be about. And while I write it, I'm kind of like, oh, this would be awesome. And I talk to a friend and to help me with some research or something. And he's like, did you know that? And I was like, oh, I want to put that into the book. And so it's like if you have like a stone, I want to make a marble sculpture, and you start sculpting, and slowly the stone gives way, and the stone tells you how it wants to be shaped, right? And as you chisel away, bit by bit, the sculpture starts to take shape. And I think this is also the process in art, that maybe there's art out there. I'm pretty sure, for example, Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea, the way Hemingway would write it is he has this idea from the get-go, and this is what he's going to write, and he's never going to veer off that path. Not for a second, because that's the man I think Hemingway was. I never met him, which is very sad, because I think he was a fantastic artist. But maybe also good for my liver. But I can, for everything I do, and I think for many real artists out there, it is kind of in the same direction. You go in with an expectation, you follow the process of creation, and at the end of the process, maybe you have returned full circle to your original message, or maybe it has changed, or maybe you don't even recognize it yourself anymore. I have thrown away half-finished books because I said I've gone so far off what I can recognize as something I want to publish that it didn't make sense anymore. Same with painting. I have started painting, I thought, oh, this looks amazing. And I've painted other things, and I thought halfway through, what am I doing? So yeah, I think the process is a very important part. And the message then really lies partially with the artist, if he wants to convey a specific message.
Yeah.
But mostly with the viewer, if they can accept the message, or if they find another message in it. So I think those two facts are also kind of true. Okay. Mm-hmm. So with that, this time we close the topic and this podcast. Now there's two more parts to this. One part is about the art that the companies give us. And the other third part is about the art we players add to the game. So those are the next two podcasts, both very profound and big topics. And by the way, there's a little piece of art here now. Pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
I'm sure I timed this wrong.
If you like it, you can consider art.
That's great. And with that, yeah, see you on the next podcast. See you next Saturday, where we continue this discussion.
See you. Thank you for watching us today. Bye.
Bye.